Hey guys, it's me Pascal, your Christian appetizer. Are you ready for today's word? And I want to talk with you about the question, does God really exist? Is he a really existing being? Is he a person that we can talk to? Or is it just biblical theory created by people? I had this question, this topic on my mind that I want to make a video about it because I talked with my aunt and my uncle on a beautiful evening together. We had this conversation about different topics, and then we also talked about basically what does the Bible tell us about certain principles, standards in life. And what I realized was that even though they read the Bible and even though they were going to church, not regularly, from time to time, I thought those three statements that they made basically in this 1 hour conversation, where the first one, first of all, they believed that the Bible was a man-made book of stories created to teach us moral standards, and that thus God doesn't really exist, and that Jesus is a famous, wise speaker back then who was so popular that we humans basically created a book for him. The Old Testament basically prophets about the person who will come in the future, Jesus, who will guide everyone into freedom, who believes in him. And then the New Testament basically talks about Jesus' life and the life after his death. And further, they also told me that they didn't believe in the miracles that were in the Bible, so they found them exaggerated, or some explanation were that they were mistranslated. And for example, that Moses divided the Red Sea into two parts was can't be true because it's not logically understandable. On the other side, we had also the fact that Jesus, or what the Bible states as a fact, that Jesus was born by a virgin. They also stated it's biologically not possible, so thus not reality. And when I talked with them, it was interesting because not all of my family members are believing in God, but it's nice to listen to the different view and understand the different side. And I can understand their reasoning. Why does the Bible state this? Why should we believe it? Why is it actually truth? I mean, you cannot explain it. There's no science behind it, and it can't be reality. Thus, it cannot be a reality if it's not explainable, if there's no logic behind it. And other people say, okay, you don't need a logic behind it, it's just a philosophy. So they put it in a different category created by humans, basically. And what triggered me the most was the fact that that miracles, if you don't believe in those miracles that are stated in the Bible, it's basically like when you're reading the Bible and don't believe in the miracles, it's like you want to drive a car but take out the engine and hope that it drives anyway. It doesn't work because those miracles are miracles because they are not explainable. And we always, as humans, understand life backwards. So we use certain scientific phenomena that we cannot explain, but we use them or we live with them. We will later on in the future find the perfect answer to explain it. Back then, we didn't understand gravity, but we still used it. And later on, we were able to explain it. And so forth. There's also in the Bible a spiritual realm that explains, that tells that those things are not physically sensible, but they still exist, they still happen, and according to my knowledge, only the Bible explains you how to understand it and approach it. But trying to read the Bible and understand everything logically does not work, because the Bible only is understandable based on faith, based if you believe it. Those miracles only were miracles because people couldn't understand it, because they couldn't explain it. It's still a miracle today because we cannot explain it. People try to find answers, of course, but trying to understand the whole Bible as a logical construct takes away the source of it, the magic behind it, if you want to call it magic. Because God tells us that we can only please Him, and as we are reading God's Word in this case, if we are doing it in faith, everything, doing it in faith. Hebrews 11:6 states this: "But without faith it is impossible to walk with God and please Him, for whoever comes near to God must necessarily believe that God exists and that He rewards those who earnestly and diligently seek Him." So do I believe in God? Yes. Did I touch Him? No. But did I see His works? Yes. Do I believe in His word that what He says is true, that the promises come true? Yes. Does it mean because I believe them now that they immediately happen? No, because then it wouldn't be faith. Then it would be just logic. You say it, you expect it to happen, and then it immediately happens, basically. I mean, some things immediately happen, according to the Bible, but some things, most of them take more time. And this is stated in Hebrews 11:1 that faith is not the same as experiencing things by physical senses. So because I cannot see it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Because I can't see it or can't touch it, it can still exist. And the proof that it exists is basically my faith. And this is stated in Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the assurance, title deed confirmation of things hoped for, divinely guaranteed, and the evidence of things not seen, the conviction of their reality. Faith comprehends as fact what cannot be experienced by the physical senses. So when we would try to read the Bible and try to understand everything logically, we would take out the faith. We wouldn't leave any room for faith. And as God created this book for us to understand His thoughts about our life, about us, about what He is, who He is, we would take away all the option to access these promises, to access the view of God on us, if we would try to understand it logically. I tried it at the beginning. I thought it's another book that I just have to understand, reason about it, and then at the end apply it and it will work. Well, I still applied it, but the more I learned about the Bible, the more I went this walk with God and our relationship, I realized that it doesn't have to be understandable. And actually, God doesn't want us to walk by sight, but to walk by faith. So there's already a huge gap between what the world sees when they just read it as basically another textbook and try to understand it based on scientific rules. And there's another way where you read the Bible and believe it. Because, as I stated, miracles are miracles because they are not explainable. Otherwise, there wouldn't be miracles. And why is faith such a wonderful gift by God, the Creator, that He has given to people on the earth? So first of all, we all have faith. We all have faith on something. If I put myself on my chair, I believe that it holds me, that it holds my weight and won't break down. And we all can use our faith and put it in different things. I can put my faith in the financial system and hope that it won't fail me. Well, it failed us multiple times in the past. So better put our faith in something that really is stable for eternity. And then is there the fact that when we put our faith in something, we basically are giving away a responsibility that we normally would have to another thing or to another person. We are basically relieving us from a burden and basically entrusting a person doing or a thing doing what we want it to do or the person to do. And this could be, for example, I give my car to a person that cleans the car. I'm not doing it myself, but I'm giving the person basically my responsibility of taking care about my stuff, at least once. And the thing is, for that reason, actually, to give us a relief from a burden, emotional pain, stress, and hard works. For that reason, Jesus actually came to this world so that whoever believes in him will receive the rest and thus a worth living life that Jesus is promising us, or God is promising us through Jesus. And by believing in it, we are then receiving this rest. So even though it's stated in the Bible, I can read it. If I don't believe it, it doesn't exist for me. So that's why, even though I talk in this video about this to you, I cannot force you. God won't force you, because faith has to come from oneself. Even though I teach you the word, or basically you read the word, or God gives you the word, you yourself have to believe it for yourself in order to see it materializing in your life. Some things materialize that are stated in the Bible, some things don't materialize, but at the end they still exist. And this is what I just mentioned, that Jesus came so that we can give our burden, our heavy life to him and receive a rest. It's stated in Matthew 11:28-30. Let us read this first. Come to me, all who are weary and heavily burdened by religious rituals that provide no peace, and I will give you rest, refreshing your souls with salvation. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, following me as my disciple, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest, renewal, blessed quiet for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear and my burden is light. So, how do we receive this rest that Jesus is basically talking about? Through faith. There's no different way. And faith thus allows us to receive things that are yet not perceptible. And for example, we know this principle also from our world. When we want to lose weight, we look for a training plan. We do this training plan regularly. We keep track of everything and do it in order to achieve our goal. And even though we haven't received our weight loss, we still believe that we will receive it by doing what, in this case, science has proven to us. Now, the same applies to God's word. God, on the other side, just states it, and you should believe that he will give it to you, that it will happen because he is the one providing it to us. So God says A, and if we believe it, we will receive it. That's what's still written in the Bible. Sorry. And if we basically believe what God tells us, we receive the rest because we are given responsibility to God. Of course, depending on what we are asking for, what promise we are talking about, we have to do a certain part. But the most part, the bigger part of a task, of an achievement, God will do. And if God is the one who is basically giving us all what we need in life, even though we might not see God, if we believe him, he becomes reality for us. and He will show Himself through our faith in our life. And also, thus other people can see that God exists and through a person. And then those people can tell testimonies. And this is just wonderful, because we are then showcasing that we don't have to work alone. We don't have to do everything on our own. It's not that God tells us a promise in the Bible and then we have to do it on our own. No, it's the different case that we do our part, and if we do our best, God does the rest. And the rest is always more than our best. And what God is then doing is just proving His faithful character, showcasing that His promises that He states, He keeps to it, because humans on the earth, even though they promise something, it doesn't mean that they truly do it. They want to do it, but sometimes they fail, or maybe sometimes they're just lying to us. But God is different. So believing in God, that He does something, requires that we also believe that God exists. And if we believe that God exists, then we are basically able to receive His promises. And even though this is a new topic for you, maybe you are unsure about God. Is He really existing? Why is all this people talking about God as loving and stuff like this? But I haven't seen Him. Like, the basic level of trust is not there for us to receive His promises, basically, or for you to receive His promises. I want to tell you, you have to do a step of faith in order to realize that God exists. If you don't do it, you will never ever identify if God truly exists or not. If you don't do a step of faith, you basically miss out this opportunity to be loved by God, receive peace, find emotional healing. He provides you a future and a hope, and has a good plan for you. And He has showcased this in my life in so many ways. I mean, I asked God basically when I was a Christian for 6 months, should I marry the girl that I was dating back then? And He told me yes. And she became my wife. And I'm so happy and so glad that I, first of all, asked God, that I took the step of faith. I wasn't in a long relationship with God. It didn't took me like 10 years, and then I started trusting Him. I basically were bold that I needed help in my life, and I wanted to receive those promises. I wanted to see if it exists, if it's reality. And further than that, I had a huge problem with my self-worth. I had depression. I had in the past thoughts about killing myself, and I also had such a negative self-image that I just knew that this wasn't healthy. I needed support. I needed someone who's 24/7 with me, who helps me, and who promises that He's so big that He can do much more than I would ever expected. So for that reason, I tried it out. And now I have a wonderful wife. I love her more every day. It's unbelievable because God is changing me, so I can see more things on her that I like about her, and I also find more peace about myself. Thus, I find less things disturbing on her or on other people or on myself. So coming into this relationship with God was just a wonderful, really successful step in my life, the biggest successful step that I have ever done. And truly, I hope that my words change your perspective on God, that you also want to try it out.